government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
All right, welcome. Glad you're with us on this June 18th, 2025. We're going to be joined and get an update by Annie, Cyrus, and Aaron, our reporter out of Israel. But first, we had some great news. Great news. We have the American flag. Let me see. Oh, that's not an actual picture. This is an actual picture of the American flag flying above the White House. I guess it has been put up and installed and paid for by President Trump out of his own pocket. Big, beautiful flag. And it's going to be on the north lawn, the south lawn. And by the way, did you see the crane operator? The crane operator was literally, it looked like taking a mid-afternoon or mid-morning nap while all of his colleagues were getting pictures next to the crane with the president. He was asleep. He was out. So that was kind of hilarious. We do have some good news, folks. Do you guys like good news? We like to give some good news when we can get it. Apparently, we have some massive things happening on the border in regard to protecting the border. And we're now being told that nobody's getting through. Nobody's getting through that big, beautiful border because of the big, beautiful border wall and all of the guys on the border protecting the border. So again, that's great news. We're happy about that. Happy to see that. I thought I had a little graphic on that one, but maybe not. I have so many. Here it is. Tom Homan announces Border Patrol had only 95 encounters with illegals total yesterday along the entire 2,000-mile southern border. The lowest number in history. That's some good news. That's two pieces of good news. Got a big, beautiful Old Glory flying in front of the White House, the second one to come before the day is over. And only 95 encounters on the entire 2,000 miles. Now, I do want to go to an article that I spent yesterday afternoon writing, and I wrote on it again today. And I do hope you'll go there to worldviewtimes.com, Worldview. So we have Worldview Radio, which is obviously radio, Worldview Times, that would be print, and Worldview Tube, that would be TV. Do we have our History Channel going yet, Logan? It's running, but it's not live yet. He's just going down the checklist. But we're about to launch today. It's running on the back end. That means the computer guys and Logan can all see it, but you guys can't. But very soon, it looks like today, finally, that History Channel and the Bible Prophecy Channel too, right? Yep. Great things happening here, folks. Now, if you go to, so we have Worldview Radio, Worldview Tube, Worldview Times. If you go to Worldview Times, I have a brand new article I wrote today, which I hope you guys will copy and distribute, because some of you are saying, well, what is it that you want, Brannon? Now, I don't know how I can make it any more clear. I've made it so clear, but sometimes people just need to have it maybe in print. Different people learn different ways, right? Some learn by reading, some learn by writing, some learn by seeing, some learn by hearing. I got to do all of those things. That's very important for me. So I have a brand new article I wrote and just released not even an hour ago. America fights Islamic extremism abroad, but coddle it at home while China builds the red-green axis for war on American soil. That really says it all, folks. If you're just looking for one bullet point, this is it. But let me read the article. I don't usually like to read articles, but I want to read this one. America fights Islamic extremism abroad, but coddle it at home while China builds the red-green axis for war on American soil. Okay, here we go. As a supporter of Israel's right to self-defense and its effort to counter Iran's nuclear ambitions, I stand firmly behind President Trump's administration for selling weapons to Israel. Notice I said the word selling. Providing intelligence and defensive military support. Notice I said the word defensive, not offensive. However, I'm deeply concerned about the state of our nation, particularly regarding international security, preparedness for potential conflicts, and inconsistencies in addressing threats both domestically and abroad. I'm calling for urgent action to safeguard America's future, and the split of the MAGA movement is exactly what the deep state desires, as well as America's foreign enemies that have set up camp in America. I fully endorse Israel's right to defend itself against threats, particularly from Iran's nuclear program, which poses a significant risk to regional stability. President Trump's administration has supported Israel through arms sales, intelligence sharing, and defensive actions, such as intercepting Iranian missiles. In June of 2025, Israel launched strikes on Israel's nuclear facilities, damaging sites like Natanz, but leaving much of the program intact, including near bomb-grade uranium stockpiles. These actions underscore the importance of U.S. support for Israel, but they also highlight the need to balance international commitments with domestic security priorities. America faces existential threats from within, exacerbated by years of policies that have allowed adversaries to exploit vulnerabilities. The red-green axis, a term referring to a coalition of Marxist and Islamic groups, is a massive domestic threat now. More alarmingly, recent reports give further evidence to foreign interference in U.S. elections. In June 2025, FBI Director Kash Patel revealed declassified intelligence alleging that China mass-produced fake U.S. driver's licenses to facilitate fraudulent mail-in ballots in the 2020 election. These documents were turned over to Senator Chuck Grassley. Additionally, allegations of compromised U.S. officials in the Biden regime, reportedly in the White House, FBI, and CIA, were receiving funds from the Chinese Communist Party. By the way, tonight I will play, and maybe if we have time today, a clip where Benz is explaining this in detail. Why have these people not been arrested? Why have we not been told that criminal investigations are underway? Grand juries have been convened. That's my question. Let me go back to the article. This further underscores the need for robust internal security measures. The U.S. is alarmingly unprepared for potential conflicts on its soil. In May of 2025, Brigadier General Doug Wickert, commander of the 412th Test Wing at Edwards Air Force Base, warned local civic leaders that a Chinese attack on Taiwan could lead to massive disruptions in the U.S., including power grid shutdowns. Wickert emphasized China's rapid military buildup and the strategic importance of U.S. aircraft like the B-21 Raider in deterring Beijing. Despite this warning, are you guys listening? Because here we go. This is the crux of it, folks. Despite this warning, no comprehensive national or state level briefings have been conducted to prepare Americans for such scenarios. Unlike China and Russia, which have been preparing their populations for years, the U.S. lacks the mental, material, physical, and spiritual readiness to face war on our soil. This gap leaves critical infrastructure and communications vulnerable to attacks that could exploit these weaknesses. President Trump has repeatedly stated that Iran must not acquire nuclear weapons, a stance supported by many in the U.S. and Israel. However, concerns exist that Iran may already possess nuclear capabilities. The International Atomic Energy Agency reports that Iran has enriched uranium to near weapons-grade levels with enough material for multiple bombs if further processed. The discrepancy between official rhetoric and expert assessments, such as those by the late Dr. Peter Vincent-Pry, who suggested Iran might already have the nuclear capabilities, raises questions about strategic clarity. If Iran already has a nuclear weapon, is America's direct involvement in an offensive matter, notice I said the word offensive matter, potentially risking Iran's use of that nuclear weapon? These are questions that need to be addressed to the American people. How do we know that Iran or other foreign nations do not already have nuclear weapons on American soil? I've interviewed Congressman Kurt Weldon on this very issue. Weldon was vice chair of the Armed Services Committee and the House Homeland Security Committee and has warned about nuclear suitcase bombs for over 25 years. A significant concern in this inconsistency in U.S. policy toward Islamic extremism is this. While the U.S. supports Israel against Iran's state-sponsored terrorism, some domestic groups with ties to extreme ideologies, such as the Muslim Brotherhood, operate openly in the U.S., often under the protection of religious freedom. The FBI notes that social media has enabled groups like ISIS to radicalize individuals within the U.S., proposing a direct threat to national security. Critics argue that this double standard, combating extremism abroad while allowing it to flourish domestically, weakens America's moral and strategic position. For example, incidents involving radicalized individuals targeting events focused on Islamic extremism highlight the real dangers within the U.S. communities. That would be like me in Sioux Falls, right? Addressing this inconsistency requires a unified approach that balances religious freedoms with robust counterterrorism measures. We have been told for decades we have to fight the Islamists over there or we'll have to fight them here. Sorry, but they are here. And they're winning without fighting. They're winning by propaganda, infiltration, and by using our liberties to bury themselves deep inside our communities, government offices, and within key government agencies, and even within our U.S. military. Numerous news outlets have reported that recently 2 former jihadists, including Ismail Royer, linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba and convicted for supporting terrorism, have been appointed to President Trump's White House Advisory Board. Why? 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 I mean, this is just basic. Would Israel put such people on an advisory board for their prime minister? Why are we so schizophrenic in our foreign and domestic policy? The military and economic alliance among Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea, often referred to as the axis of upheaval, poses a significant threat to U.S. interest. In January 2025, Russia signed a strategic partnership treaty with Iran, following similar pacts with China and North Korea, aimed at countering Western influence and supporting Russia's war in Ukraine. These countries have deepened military technical cooperation, with Iran supplying drones and missiles to Russia and China providing industrial support. U.S. military leaders warn that this alliance could lead to prolonged multi-front conflicts as these nations' coordinated actions challenge Western dominance. In these perilous times, President Trump must prioritize American defense by addressing internal threats, preparing the nation for potential conflicts, and resolving policy inconsistencies. The allegations of foreign interference, the lack of preparedness for domestic disruptions, and the risk posed by global alliances demand urgent attention. A national address from the Oval Office outlining these threats and a clear plan to counter them is essential to rally the American people. Wisdom, resolve, and focus on domestic security will be critical to safeguarding our republic. May God bless President Trump and guide America through these challenges. Now, that's it in writing for those who email or text or communicate with our office saying, well, what is it that Brannon really wants? I've said it over and over and over and over. But again, some people need it in print. I get that. So I took the time to write it, and I hope you guys will distribute it. Pick it up at worldviewtimes.com. Email, tweet, text, Facebook, Garrett, Truth Social, whatever you do. Folks, the enemy's winning. We're distracted abroad. They're winning at home. Our domestic and foreign policy is schizophrenic. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. Melissa Howse, BG. preparedness.com. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio website, worldviewradio.com. That's right. I can email with my attorney and post this show at the same time, like I just did. I was thinking this morning, can I go one day without hearing from my accountant or my attorney? If I could do that just one day without hearing from one of those guys, one's a gal, one's a guy. And that's not counting my litigation attorney, who's a little busy right now. I won't get into that, but he's a little busy right now. Somebody just got served by us. Woohoo! All right, here we go. Let's get into it with Annie Cyrus and Aaron LaBarco. Guys, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Brannon, thank you for having
Brannon.
us.
Hi, Annie. Good to be with you.
Annie, what do you make of my op-ed today?
Brilliantly written. I agree pretty much with everything you said. I would probably add a few things to it, but that wouldn't be about America.
But it would be about America?
It would not. Well, it would be about America, but it would be. I just translated. Ayatollah Khamenei decided to release a second video message for Iranian people, which is now available on my Substack, fully subtitled English, word by word. Nothing has changed, but I would add that to your article, because second video is not even talking to Israel or about Israel, directly America, filled with threats. And filled with Trump's lying. Nobody's trying to negotiate. We're not negotiating. We're not surrendering. So I would just attach that on top of everything you already mentioned, which is just another proof that are we ever going to hear from our administration what is happening? Are they surrendering? Are they attacking us? Because Khamenei said they're coming. And the damages are going to be unimaginable for us. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying necessarily he is right. I'm just saying you're right. We don't know what's happening because we're not hearing from our administration. And by the way, the video came out literally less than an hour before Trump came out on cameras and said they're calling and they're saying they want to come to the White House and deal.
They want to come to the White House. I heard that today. Who wants to come to the White House?
Oh, so Trump this morning came on cameras to answer some questions. And I'm going to say this isn't just me. Other independent journalists and other networks such as Iranian International are mentioning the part that the way he was mocking the questions from the reporters were extremely unpresidential, because he has started mocking the questions. And what were the questions, Brannon? Are you going to get involved with the war? Are you going to do strikes? Or do you have a plan? And he just kept mocking him. That being said, then he said, I can't tell you what's going to happen because Iran called. He literally said Iran called. He didn't say who exactly. Iran called. They are asking to come to the White House and make a deal. And I told them it's not too late to make a deal, but the terms are different because today is different than last week. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Aaron, what do you make of my article, and what are you hearing on the ground in Israel today?
Well, I think it was, I agree with Annie, it was very well written, to the point. Definitely people that are going to be listening or hearing it, they're going to be challenged. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of feedback comes from that. What's happening in Israel today, Brannon? I mean, oh my gosh. During the night, we were in bomb shelters. I literally about an hour ago came from a bomb shelter. There were missiles fired over. We were there inside for about 45 minutes. There was no air conditioning. The doors were shut. It was in the middle of the afternoon. It was packed. It was very, very difficult. Everyone was just about ready to explode. But we managed to, get out. There were missiles that were fired that were intercepted, shot down by our defense forces. So that was good. But really what the nation is witnessing right now, I mean, unless some major event intervenes, Iran is crumbling. They are collapsing. and we are witnessing what a Bibi said on October the 8th, the Middle East is going to be a very different Middle East, and he is so right. We've seen Syria fall, we've seen Gaza fall, we've seen Lebanon, Hezbollah fall, and we are witnessing the fall of Iran. It is amazing. The communication centers, the radios, the televisions, the police station is being taken over, the helicopters are being destroyed. And I saw one report, there were about 100,000 Syrians in the middle of Syria. I think it was Damascus, I'm not sure. Even though they hate us, they were actually cheering when they saw the fall of the Iranian regime. So what an amazing thing we're witnessing, the fall of this regime. And apparently the Ayatollah, I think he's arrived in, was it Oman or Qatar? Yeah, Oman. So we'll see what happens, but we're seeing the collapse, the total
Wait a minute.
We don't have confirmation on that, Aaron. 3 Iranian official planes took off, cross-border, landed in Oman. However, there's no confirmation that Khamenei was in one of them. Technically, there's not even a confirmation of who was, who wasn't. But yes, 3 planes took off last night from Iran, landed in Oman about 2.5, 3 hours ago. And it is confirmed that the regime officials were in it. However, there's absolutely no confirmation if Khamenei was.
A decoy to slip him somewhere.
I strongly think it's a decoy, especially based on the video that was released literally 2 or maybe less than 2 hours before the confirmation of planes landing on Oman. The video of Khamenei came out. The whole timeline doesn't match of him being out. And again, getting him out of that bunker is not as easy as getting him to, especially where the planes took off. It wasn't from Tehran airport. They would have had to get him out of the bunker, get him from Tehran to either Isfahan or Shiraz to get to the plane, and then have him go to the north, and then from there fly to Oman. That would have been something they could have pulled off within 24 hours.
So you're thinking it may have been a decoy so he can now pop up out of the bunker?
I don't think he's planning to pop out of the bunker. However, they want to take, especially because, so the round 11, and Aaron, you can confirm this, the round 11 attacks of Israel toward Iran, which started around 8:39 p.m. Eastern time here. The round, the missiles were hitting Labizan, and they were hitting Labizan hard. Where is Labizan? Where the bunker is. So I think they panicked. They're like, uh-oh, they're getting too close. So they created this decoy, and I do believe some of the officials were in the planes. I'm not saying they didn't run, but because of the 11th round hitting, focusing, concentrating on Labizan, I highly doubt they could get him out.
All right,
if they did, kudos to them.
Now, okay, let's go real quick. Let's switch over here. What is going, viral today is the spat between Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. Let me play some interesting.
That was fun to watch.
That was fun to watch. Yep. Let me play a little of this. Here we go.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. But so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is. But that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker,
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel. Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
He's the prime minister.
Right.
What?
But just like, America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle
This is
there.
silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is
You believe
Israel.
that's what God was talking about in
Yes.
Genesis.
I do, but
That country's existed since when?
for thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is.
All right, so poor Ted Cruz. He probably knows just enough about the Bible to be dangerous. I warned about Ted in my book, The Coming Religious Trojan Horse. I warned about Ted in that book in 2011. Do I agree with Ted Cruz on some things? Yes, I do. But Ted is not a Bible scholar or even remotely close. Because if he were, he wouldn't be hanging out with the New Apostolic Reformation crowd that he was hanging out with. And his father, not that we can blame somebody for what their dad necessarily is doing, but Ted is aligned up with the same people. And his father's running around speaking at the so-called churches, the people that think they're modern day prophets and apostles, and bringing in the kingdom and all kinds of crazy New Apostolic Reformation theology and eschatology. So we warned about that. We also warned that Heidi Cruz is tied to one of the big banks and, according to numerous reports, was involved in the George W. Bush administration with helping to merge the North American Union. So I've been very suspect of Mr. Cruz for a long time. He gave it a good shot. I'll give him credit at that. He tried to go to the Bible, but Genesis 12, verse 3 is not referring to Benjamin Netanyahu's government. He said it did when pressed. No, it does not. Let's go to the text. Now the Lord said to Abram, go forth from your country and from your relatives and from your father's house to the land which I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great. And so you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth will be blessed. So we're talking about the people, whether that's people residing in Israel today that became a nation in 48, or whether it's Jews in other parts of the world. It's talking about the Jewish people, and they have been a blessing to us in so many ways we've discussed before, in technology and so many other ways. Now, does God bless everything the Israeli government does? No. And that's not what it's saying. So Ted's wrong on that. Tucker got him on that one. But he should have stood his ground correctly and said, we're talking about anti-Semitism. We're talking about the Jewish people. He was too quick to tie Genesis 12 to the current Israeli government today. We know there are good Jews, there are bad Jews. In Revelation twice, some of them referred to synagogue of Satan that are coming against the gospel, and even Jews who become believers in Yeshua Messiah. So, God doesn't endorse everything. He's talking about a specific people. We'll be right back. We live in uncertain times. In fact, we live at a time when our own governments all over the world are warning us that there could be big problems with our power grid. World War III seems to be right on the horizon. Let me ask you this. Do you have a satellite phone? Should communications go down with cell towers? Do you have a satellite phone to get a hold of that college student or your spouse who travels, whatever it might be, to get a hold of your senior adult parents? We have satellite phones at worldviewtalk.com, and you get the satellite phone for free when you sign up for their very reasonable payment programs for the service. Sign up for the service with a reasonable contract, get the satellite phone for free. Worldviewtalk.com. You'll also find they have, well, what I now have, which is a solar generator. Yeah, I have a gas generator, an LP propane generator, but what if that goes down? I want to back up to my backup. So I now have a solar generator as well. You'll find them at worldviewtalk.com. Check it out today, worldviewtalk.com. All right, welcome back. Also, real quick, let's make it very clear. I will make you a blessing, the Jewish nation. He didn't say those who bless the Israeli government. And by the way, the Israeli government has all kinds of governments that come up and go down, come up and go down. They got to form their government. I will bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you. Talking about the Jewish people, as a nation. And has the nation been scattered at times? Yep. And then they get brought back together, right? The dry bones. Became a nation in 48. But he says, I'll also make you a blessing. You'll bless people. Well, you know, one way that the Jewish people have blessed us is with Messiah. Isn't that what Revelation 12 is about? Satan begins to wage great war against the Jews. Going back to Genesis 3 and that spiritual conflict that was set up there in the garden. And now Satan comes after the woman, Israel, the nation that gave us Messiah. So again, I want to commend actually Senator Cruz for trying to bring in the Bible. I just wish these guys would tune into this broadcast or other guys like this broadcast and get their theology right so that people will understand and not look like, no, we all endorse, all the Christian Zionists endorse the Israeli government. No, at times I do, at times I don't. But he gave it a shot, but this is what's going viral right now. Aaron, you want to respond to this, please?
Big topic. I totally agree with you that Ted Cruz, I think he genuinely, he loves Israel. He wants to bless, as the promise is, I will bless those that bless you. That's no question. And I respect him for doing that. Yeah, I think he didn't have the tools to really debate with Tucker Carlson. If it was me, I would have taken a different approach. I would have said that today's Jewish people that live in Israel today and around the world, they are the physical seed of Abraham, of Isaac, of Jacob, and the same blessing is still over Abraham and his seed. Now, a lot of those Jewish people, they're not walking in that blessing, and it's our job, our responsibility to try and bring them back into that blessing. And the other thing I would have said is the Christians, they are part of that blessing. They have been allowed to come in through the great seed of Abraham, and that's, as you said, the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, and we need to honor that. We need to honor what the scriptures call the older brother. The church is looked upon as the other brother, but the firstborn son, the older brother, he is to be respected because in the scriptures, and it goes right through the scriptures, there is a special place for the firstborn son. It's a key doctrine in the scriptures. And I don't think Tucker knows that or understands that. So he was lacking as well. But Ted, God bless his soul for trying. But I think he was punching above his weight. But I'm not saying that Tucker Carlson's theology is great by any means.
Yeah, it's certainly not. So where are you going as a nation, Aaron? What are you seeing over there? I hear we're moving more ships toward your direction, right?
Yeah, you are. And Brannon and Ani, let's not forget, before this latest escalation with Iran, where was the focus? The focus was on the Gaza Strip. We are pounding the Gaza Strip. We are still taking over places. And in a way, this new focus on the what's happening in Iran is allowing us to do that and hopefully finish it off. One of the problems with that, of course, is our poor captives who are suffering in hell under the ground. And some of the parents are really struggling. saying it seems that our nation has moved on from Gaza. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think we're just focusing on the priority right now, which is taking out the funders of Gaza, and that is Iran. So we've got these two fronts. Both are equally important, but the dust is far from settled. So it's a little bit hard to answer the question, the day after. How is Gaza going to look? How is Iran going to look? Donald Trump, I think he's calculated here. I think he's moving in. I think the Abraham peace accords are going to get a few new people that are going to join in. But on the other hand, I've got my eye on Turkey. I've got my eye on Russia. They are my two main concerns at the moment, how they're trying to get involved with this. And then the last thing that's happening, believe it or not, we actually have from our opposition those who are against what we are doing against Iran. They are saying we're going too far. We're going to create a third world war. It's costing us too much. We've forgotten our captives, our daughters, our sons. And of course, you knew that was coming from the opposition. Now would have been the ideal time to put aside their ego and say, you know what, Bibi Netanyahu is doing a fantastic job. I know some people that were in buildings that got demolished, but they survived, and they are just and they were lefties, but they're so.
So your country is being united while ours is being divided. Isn't that interesting? Yet the Bible says that Israel will become a stumbling block. And for many, of course, it is now a stumbling block in America. And I think it's being used by the globalists to divide MAGA. I really do. I don't know that could be helped. I'm just saying it is happening. I do want to switch gears real quick, though, guys, because I think I have to come back to my article. And that is, while I fully support President Trump working with the Israeli government to sell you ammunition, munitions, rockets, whatever you need for your Iron Dome, while I support, obviously, us giving them intel. I know they give us intel. I've been told by guys from the intelligence arena that we're really high up that Israel saved a lot of lives over the years by giving us intel. So it's a two-way street. We're a close ally. So again, I'm all for that. Offense, being involved in defense. Offense is another issue. But here is, because again, are we prepared for that kind of thing? Are we going to be so involved over there that we neglect America? And I'm telling you right now, the battlefield in America and the people that have infiltrated under the 8 years of Obama, 4 years of Biden, that have infiltrated our intelligence arena, our military, key agencies, these civil servants, they really are the ones that make the government run day to day, that have infiltrated Capitol Hill. We're in big trouble. With that, I want you to listen how big a problem it is when we realize what all this means for America in this war, in the war we're already in America. You're in a war, Aaron. We're in a war in America. The same players, the red-green axis. This was stunning what came from Mike Benz today. Listen, please.
I'm shocked, and it takes a lot to shock me.
Yeah,
when this story first broke, I thought that there must be some details about it that are more speculative than you can rely on. But the more I read the piece that you published and saw what Kash submitted to Chuck Grassley, there are several levels of this that are concerning almost beyond belief. So obviously the first family itself was taking millions of dollars from China. The Biden first family through Hunter Biden and China CEFC Energy, China CEFC Energy was taking $5 to $10 million in consulting fees from Chinese energy firms as Hunter Biden was flying on Air Force One to China with Vice President Biden in order to secure those deals. Biden's CIA director, Bill Burns, took millions of dollars from China when he was the head of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace for 7 years before becoming CIA director, taking CCP members and putting them on Carnegie's board, as well as forming a joint Carnegie-China center so that they could cooperate more closely. Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was the managing director of the Penn Biden Center, which took millions of dollars from China. So all the way up and down the entire foreign policy establishment of the Biden administration, from the White House to the CIA to the State Department, you had millions of dollars being juiced by the Chinese government the entire time. And then the more you think about this story, the more shocking it gets when you think about the massive, biggest election censorship event in human history, which was DHS CISA's censorship of the 2020 election, specifically to stop election misinformation, which was all run out of a group that Chris Krebs formed called the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, which you would think would have been the exact task force at DHS set up to stop something like this and set up to be responsive to something like this, when in fact it did the exact opposite. They told us there was no foreign interference. Now, how does the FBI know this, and the CIA know this, and the DHS task force, who is responsible for stopping the domestic side of this operation, not be informed? How is it possible that this intelligence was circulated at the FBI and CIA levels, but not at the DHS level? And so that is an immediate question for Chris Krebs and Alex Stamos.
Well, we can actually answer the question for you, Mike, too. The document I saw, I actually saw the document and got some of the quotes from it. It was circulated to the Department of Homeland Security in addition to the CIA. So they were, now it doesn't say CISA, it does say DHS, so at least the senior component got it. And when it was called back, they asked all those agencies to destroy it. So it was sent out to Homeland.
Now get this. The DHS censorship operation run out of CISA, together with EIP, this four-group consortium of 120 individual censors monitoring the entire internet across 15 different platforms to censor pro-Trump tweets or anyone who cast doubt on the integrity of the 2020 election. In the slide deck presentations of those censors who were set up by DHS, who got to use CISA's 24/7 cyber mission control to flag tweets, in those presentations, they specifically finger out a specific tweet by Donald Trump on June 22nd, and I'll read it. Rigged 2020 election. This is all caps. Rigged 2020 election. Millions of mail-in ballots will be printed by foreign countries and others. It will be the scandal of our times. Now, DHS's censorship network specifically cited that tweet as one of the reasons they needed to scramble to form this wide-spanning, totalizing censorship operation. And the fact that they specifically were set off by tweets by Donald Trump insinuating that foreign countries may be printing ballots or taking advantage of the mail-in ballot system in the operation that Kash just laid out, while that was the triggering tweet among several others to set up this entire censorship operation, while DHS had inside classified knowledge that is exactly what was going down and that Donald Trump was in fact correct. So they set up the censorship operation. In part, it would seem to suggest that their knowledge of this at the senior level of DHS or at the Chris Krebs level may have been motivated in part by a desire to keep quiet these various scandals, because as China was backing the entire Biden foreign policy establishment, literally and monetarily.
1-800-347-9829. Phone lines open. 1-800-347-9829.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house, very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona, with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000. And guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled and I said, you know, I know you and Brannon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me and I'm protected and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold. All right, 1-800-347-9829. Can you believe it, folks? It looks like at the highest levels of the White House, the FBI, the CIA, the DHS, they absolutely knew that the CCP was printing, as Donald Trump himself put out the tweet, warning that foreign governments would be, and we have the tweet dated June 22nd, 2020, foreign governments would be printing ballots, mail-in ballots would be printed by foreign countries. So they went into operation at the DHS to censor people from speaking the truth because the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, knew what was going on, was trying to talk about it. His supporters and other Americans who maybe wouldn't have even supported him might talk about it thinking, well, I'm not for Donald Trump, but I sure don't want foreign countries invading our election system. And yet we had it at the White House, the FBI, the CIA. This is the point I'm making, folks. This has not been fixed. Nobody has been arrested. I'm not aware of any grand juries that have been formed to go after all the people at the highest levels of the government that received CCP money and were involved in this cover-up. This would have meant they were involved in the cover-up of the crime. That makes them accessory, does it not, to the crime? And we think we can go to war and World War III? And we think we can entice our enemies when we have such a massive problem here at home, and most Americans, again, have no clue what I'm talking about. That's why we need to have the country ready, prepared, on a war footing, and that these enemies are internal as well as external. Let's go to the phone lines. What do you, my dear listening friends, think? 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Let's start out with Bernie, line 1. Bernie in Milwaukee. Hi, Bernie.
Hi, Brandon. I'm looking at this as a situation from a spiritual perspective. This is an infestation of the corruption that is being exposed. If America's going to be taken down, it is looked at not only from the enemies on our grounds, but our government as well. Now, these people who are in office now, they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with all of it's back to back to back of information to be investigated, and back to back to back of attacks on Trump and all the things he's trying to do within the United States to get things in order. I think Trump's focus right now is the deals that he's trying to put into place, but he doesn't have the spiritual discernment of the evil around Iran and the war against good and evil, as it has been established long ago in the beginning of the Israeli nation, the Hebrew nation.
Great comments, Bernie. Great comments. I wish I could hear more. I got to run because the lines are stacked up. But I think she hit it there, Annie, when she said, well, multiple things she said. It's spiritual warfare, no doubt about it. But when he said they're trying to overwhelm him. This administration is overwhelmed. And that's kind of the point of my article is we're so overwhelmed. We're letting the enemies of the world overwhelm us so that we are distracted from fixing our own domestic problems, which will be used to bring us down. I'm rather convinced when America collapses, it'll be from within. What say you, Annie?
I 100% agree. And again, if you look at any of the updates coming in, I still don't know why President Trump is even entertaining anything. I repeat again, sit back. Take care of the country. We have issues here that needs your attention. What is happening in the Middle East at the moment, right now, they haven't come after our bases. They're doing a lot of talking, but we need to just stay focused here. Middle East does not need our attention today. Israel has been doing a great job, to everybody's surprise, and the regime is pretty much gone.
And if that continues, they won't need to worry about nuking that nuclear reactor, that system.
Exactly.
Because they're going to have control of the country, and then they can secure it, and we'll be fine. It'll be just like, one of our other, it'll be like Israel having the nuclear weapon. It'll now be under the control of the king or the prince, who I'm hearing more and more and more chatter by people, even people in the U.S. that are starting to come to his side that, hey, we got a government and a plan ready to go in the prince.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, by the way, just a quick announcement. This weekend, across Western countries, UK, France, Italy, Netherlands, Switzerland, here in US, in Canada, there will be huge pro-Pahlavi anti-regime rallies going on by Iranians or those who support Iranians who wants regime change. That right there should tell you everything.
And they're shutting down the internet over that, right, Annie?
The internet has been completely shut down, but between the Starlink and I forgot the other one, people are still sending information
out. So here comes Elon Musk with Starlink. Wow. One day I'm like, what is that guy doing? The other day I have to cheer him.
Yes, but I personally still wouldn't give him much credit.
Yeah,
I don't think he's doing the Starlink thing for the good of people of Iran. No, he has an angle.
Wow.
He has an angle. But anyways.
Let me go real quick to Robert. Line 4. Robert, thanks for calling in, Robert.
Yes, Brannon, I'm a long-time caller. You know this.
I do know that.
I'm calling in. I'm calling in because I was listening to what you were saying about the Bidens. You said it a long time ago that he was a Manchurian candidate, and now it then came to the forefront that he is. Everything that you said about him and his family, it came to the forefront, and I can guarantee you that somewhere in this is Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, and Obama, and all the rest of the crooked Democrat Party.
I think you've nailed it. Robert. Thank you, Robert. Dave in New Mexico, line 2. Dave from New Mexico, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Brannon. Thank you for what you do and everything.
Thank you.
All those crooks that have been taking CCP money could be arrested and charged under the RICO statutes. That's why they need to be charged with, is the RICO statutes.
Wow, great call.
Have a nice day.
You too, David. Thank you. Aaron, do you understand what I'm saying over here on this side of the planet? That we've got big problems here. I don't know if is your government as corrupt as ours?
Well, there are probably just as much suspicion and fingers pointing, but our justice system is very, very high. What surprises me, and it's something that Ani said, why isn't there more investigations? I thought when Robert Kennedy, I think the man who came from the Democrats over to the Republicans, I thought that was his role. I thought he was whistleblowing and he was calling people out and calling for accountability. Why isn't there more of that in the United States? That's what we have a lot of here in Israel, I will say. It's a very high sense of justice in Israel.
Well, Aaron is liketothenationsministry.com, liketothenationsministry.com. And folks, people are asking, where can you get my article? Mary is asking, Mary and Bernie. I love Mary and Bernie. Worldviewtimes.com. Worldviewtimes.com is where my article is. Spread it everywhere. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Annie. Stay tuned for Crosstalk. Take care. And we're back with Aaron and with Annie. So where do you see this going in the next couple days? Because your ambassador, Aaron, has said Thursday or Friday we have something bigger coming that will make the pager, the grim beepers look simple, he said.
Listen, I don't want to rejoice at anyone being annihilated or killed, but I am excited about what's happening. This regime change, this is liberation. This would be like watching Egypt fall. Would I be happy at people dying? Would I be happy at the firstborn of every family being killed if they weren't under the blood? No, I wouldn't be. But I would be happy at knowing that it's liberating people. And so that's why I'm happy. I'm so happy for the Iranian people. I'm happy for us here in Israel that we don't, hopefully any day now, we're not going to have to live under the tyranny of the fear of this nuclear issue. So that's what we're looking at. You know, they're saying the next few days, the next week, I can't wait.
Let me ask you this, Aaron. Leo and I were talking about Ezekiel 38 today, the coalition of nations that come against your country. I'm not convinced that's happening now. I think it will come. But Leo and I were talking, and I said, he was saying, when Israel wins this, they are going to be a major, major superpower in the Middle East. They'll be perceived as being a major superpower, particularly if Israel can go on and do it without the U.S. coming in any form other than the selling of weaponry and some satellite, maybe knocking a few things down. But if they basically do it on their own, Israel will be perceived, whether it's accurate or not, they'll be perceived as a major, major superpower in the region, right? Now, I said to Leo, well, Leo, I think that fits with Bible prophecy. Because why is it that a coalition of nations needs to come against little bitty Israel the size of New Jersey? And I think it's because they will be seen as a major superpower. Look at what they did to Iran, and don't mess with Israel, because look what they did to Iran. And so you better have a coalition next time. And I think that's what sets up Ezekiel 38. What do you think?
I like that theory. That makes a lot.
I like that theory.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Another theory is what happened after the 6-day war, Brannon. We thought we were invincible. We thought that no one could touch us. And in 6 days, a few million Jews defeated hundreds of millions of Arabs, and we rested on our laurels, and we became proud, and we got spanked big time at Yom Kippur. So that could be another theory case scenario, that we become proud, and who knows, we may get a left-wing government. Anything can happen. But I do like that theory. It's very doable.
Annie, what are you hearing more since we just, last heard from you? Because I know the information is coming in so fast, so I'm guessing you have another update already.
They are. And this one, hopefully Aaron can confirm, the last 2 rounds of attacks from Iran towards Israel has dropped to 8 missiles and then 3 missiles. That's all they got left. They could have shot more than 8. None of them hit. Of course, 8 missiles is pretty easy for Iron Dome to, and then 3. So to both scenarios that you just mentioned, bottom line is the truth. Right now, I can say with a straight face and certainty, and being involved with every moment of every round of these attacks in the last 6 days, the regime is over. From here on out,
according to unofficial
next isn't even up to Israel or Iran. I will say this with a straight face. US, UK, France, stay out of it. You did plenty in 1979. We don't need you involved. Stay out of it. Let Israel finish what they started. Let the Iranian people rebuild their country. And then I promise you, you can just all come back in and try to manipulate Middle East again.
Breaking
news real quick. Real America's Voice, Oscar Ramirez, is reporting that a narco tunnel has been found first by American authorities on the U.S. side, and then later alerted the Mexican authorities to find the exit in Tijuana. Now, folks, this is what we have been talking about for how many years? These narco tunnels and the drug cartels in alliance with the Islamists, the terrorists. This is what we're talking about. This is further proving my point in my article today. The American people need to be put on a war footing and prepared. What else has come through that tunnel, if anything, other than drugs? Nuclear suitcases? Biological weapons? We already know that we've got 2 Chinese trying to bring in biological weapons in the last week. What else have they brought in? Folks, are we on a war footing? Have we been prepared? No, we have not. A lot of talk about Iran and Israel, but how about America first? Annie is liveuptofreedom.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.com. Aaron is lighttothenationsministry.com. Aaron, praying for you and your nation. Thank you, Aaron, for being with us today.
Pleasure. Thanks, Brannon. Thanks, Annie.
Annie, thank you. And my friends, talk to you tonight. May God save America. Take care.